Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Omniverse of Nick, and Part 8 to the Mcqueen Walking Dead crossover tale. I'm your host, Nick. And before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you all to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and comment your favorite parts, or future requests for stories and general discussion for the channel that you might even see in the future, depending on what it is. With all that said and out of the way, once you guys do all of that fun stuff, we shall begin today's episode of the ongoing Mcqueen Walking Dead crossover tale. Last we left off, Michonne was almost done in by the Claimers, only to be rescued by Shane, who had left the group, who are still at the farm, and has been on his own for a good bit now, and came to the rescue at a conveniently ironic twist in fate. Len, instantly, after Harley is shot down, tries to fire, but gets instantly exploded with a shotgun bullet to his face. Then, a gun is aimed straight at Shane's head, and he turns and sees that he missed one. And Joe stands up over him in a mirror image of what happened to Rick, and tauntingly says that he might have taken down the last of his men, but he's still here, and Shane's not going any, and he gets cut off from a sword slash that decapitates Joe's head clean off. It was Michonne, who, even though she was shot and targeted by Len and Harley, and she didn't get, truly, deeply injured, she still had to exert a lot of strength to get up just for that slash, and now targets her attention to Shane, not knowing what he's gonna do or who he is. Shane, he reciprocates the emotion because he doesn't know whether to trust her either, even though he saved her skin. But he quickly sees that Michonne is very capable, and he sees that many of the dead bodies here, those were her. And he actually finds her to be quite a formidable woman, probably the most formidable he's ever seen, and asks her, hey, do you need some help, or do you want to join me? And Michonne, she doesn't feel like she owes him anything, or wants to go with him, or anything like that, just because he saved her skin. She didn't ask for help, even though she does admit she was kind of toast there. So, I mean, she agrees and yet disagrees and doesn't really want to be associated with anybody, let alone have to owe someone a debt. Shane, I mean, he kind of gets it because he sees that Michonne's a lot like him, not trusting and very ahead of the game in many aspects, but he says he doesn't want her to have to owe him anything, and he reciprocates the emotion. All he's saying is that they both are a lot alike. They're both very formidable people. They can take down decent-sized groups. They're very skilled, and they know what's going on in the world, and more are ahead of the game than most others. But Michonne, she still doesn't want to be associated with anybody because her mind, it's still in that dark place. But she is willing to die that down because even though she's been on her own with no Andrea to help her with her moral compass, she does admit that nearly being close to death by another group and what they were going to do to her, and how Shane's very like her, seeing it to some aspect, Shane more than Michonne. She agrees with him enough to say that she'll go along with him, but as just an ally. Nothing serious, nothing like they're not true friends or anything close like that. She's just with him. Call it acquaintances or an ally, something like that, which we obviously all know what it means by this point. And Shane's like, whatever, and smiles and is like, he didn't want anything to come out of it either. He was just simply asking her to come along with them since he's seen how capable she is. And for you Shane and Michonne fans from past stories, Yeah, you can see this coming from a mile away. This will go into something. Spoiler alert. Now, Shane, of course, doesn't really care to get into anything with Michonne, and just sees it as the perfect opportunity for two people that are so similar and so ahead of the world to basically conquer it in a way, in a manner of speaking. Because we can see Shane thinking like that, especially if he saw half of what she did to the Claimers. So, they both traverse on an ally ship sort of thing, bonded between the two. And they go on. Soon enough, they find the random little hitchhiker dude and the origin of the orange backpack. Orange backpack. It's kind of funny. Shane, he would just see the hitchhiker as weak, not really worth saving. And if they did bring him along, it would literally drag these two down. Just before he's about to make his decision, Michonne, in her quick thinking, slashes the guy's torso open and promptly takes the backpack. Yeah, we can pretty much infer that she would do this, and it's kind of poetic in a way that you can also infer that this is how it happened in the hallucination of If She Didn't Meet Andrea in Season 10. That whole drug-induced thing that Virgil did. We can only infer that happened, so it'd be kind of poetic and ironic here. And Shane's surprised by this, but then again, when he thinks about it, not really, because he would have done the same thing. Or just left him to die. Because he really didn't amount to much. It was just a hitchhiker who seemed on his last leg. Michonne asks him very quizzically, where are they going? What are they gonna do now that she's with him on this journey? And this is the Michonne in the dark place talking, because, like I said, without Andrea, she's just going along with Shane for the ride. Nothing really paternal or, like, anything like that. Shane says they're just going. They don't have a destined destination in mind. So they're just basically going till they find a group that fits their kinds of mindsets, or just be on their own forever. It doesn't matter to him. And soon enough, they find a very trapified, very big setup trapified area, and seemingly habitable area of Atlanta. And Shane, he cocks his shotgun almost immediately after seeing all this, because it's very obvious that someone was here. There's no way that all these traps were set up and they were just conveniently left behind. Someone is here. And his assumptions are proved correctly whenever shots rain down from the rooftop, and this leads into a gunfight. And Shane, he would prove much more destined to pull off better shots at this point in Atlanta, because we all know who it is that's firing from the rooftop. Shane would prove much better in even nicking a few shots at the assailants. Michonne would try to get up to the rooftop, but would see the assailants no longer there. But Shane already knows, and instantly he hears the footsteps, and boom, goes down Morgan. I mean, honestly, who the frick did not know there was Morgan Jones? I mean, come on. I'm just trying to make it more dramatic because it's Shane and not Rick. So, had to make it dramatic in that sense. Now, Shane, he would not recognize Morgan Jones, but he would obviously have heard from Rick that someone of this guy's seemingly familiar description saved his life. And Shane wouldn't pick this guy to be that guy, Morgan Jones, but he does look a lot like what Rick said. And even though he doesn't want to admit it, he hasn't been through the phases that the canon Shane was through. And even if Mcqueen and Merle are set in the story, he still cares about Rick. And he especially cared about him before he died, as we know from the hallucination in Season 9, even if it was a hallucination. So he still cares about Rick and kind of wants to let Morgan just be. But he doesn't want to say this outright and says they should take him back into the apartment to see if anybody else is in there or see if any traps are in there. He's hiding the fact that he secretly just wants to let this guy be. Michonne unsheaths her sword and prepares herself to attack if need be. So they get up to the top of the apartment and they find it stocked to the utter brim with weapons, grenades, ammo, stockage. We all know what was up there. And for Shane and Michonne, it would be an even bigger revelation than Rick, Michonne, and Carl. And then Shane would see the signs and the writing all over the apartment. And it clearly indicates, along with seeing Rick's house burnt out and all of this clear and nonsensical writing, that if it's Morgan Jones, the guy who saved his best friend Rick and all that, the guy's clearly crazy. He is literally mad. Traps, writing, trying to kill them? Yeah, Shane wanted to let this guy be, but his mind's starting to click a little bit, and honestly, he makes a decision. They're going to confiscate every single weapon and article that they can, almost leaving the apartment dry of any weapon that this guy can use, and they're going to take it for themselves, which will be a huge bonus, and just let the guy die with nothing. Because, yeah, Michonne says, why not take him out? And this is where Shane would say they could take him out, but then he actually says to what group he used to be in, and it was his best friend Rick Grimes. He left that group of his own accord. It wasn't right for him. Their mentality, the way they did things, he doesn't bring up Mcqueen. He just says that the group was far from what he needs to be in to conquer the world that they are in, and he chose to leave. And this guy matches the description of the man who saved his best friend's life, who he still cares about, even if he left them. Michonne, she's still in that dark space, once again, sorry for repetition, and she honestly, just like Cannon, kind of wants to just end him, because he tried to kill him, and look at all this writing and his craziness. And true, they could confiscate everything, and it would be a huge bonus for them, especially if they come across a big group. But who's to say he just won't find another weapon or bunch of weapons? What if we meet him again? Who cares if he meets with a friend again or whatever? And Shane says, once again, valid points, but if they confiscate every single weapon here and the guy's already crazy, true, it could find him again at some point or something like that, but he honestly just wants to leave another group, possibly even Rick or any of them, to just deal with it on their own or have the guy die on his own. And he just feels it for the best. But he gets cut off mid-sentence from Morgan Jones waking up and instantly going to attack. And that pretty much nixes the whole plan. Michonne instantly is like, nope, he's gonna die. Slashes his torso, and Shane just instinctively shoots Morgan with the shotgun, crashing him into a huge crate of stuff on the side of the apartment and covering his body, which is seemingly dead. But they don't know. But they don't waste time to find out, because after this, waiting a few minutes, they just start loading up every single bag and wholly just empty the apartment of every single weapon and everything, while watching to make sure Morgan does not get up, because yeah, he definitely was shot already and got up, so this means if he gets up again, they got like pretty much a Walker-fied mutant guy on their hands, so to speak. But after seeing he has not gotten up, especially considering the fact his stomach was slashed and he was shot with a shotgun, Shane says they gotta empty everything. Everything. And they could see this as a perfect opportunity to say screw joining groups and go on their own. While all this is going on, Rick and Carl and everyone else is still at the farm, and it's past Season 3 territory for Shane and Michonne, but we're now getting into Season 3 territory with Rick's group. But that's where we're going to leave for this episode, with this revelation. What do you guys think will happen next? How did you enjoy this episode? And what is your favorite part of the story so far? Don't forget, as always, to smash that like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick's channel, and comment your favorite parts, or future recommendations for stuff, meaning stories or general discussion that you might get to see happen in the future of this channel. With all that said and out of the way, hope you guys liked the Shane and Michonne episode, because we'll be bouncing back and forth between multiple groups, including this, throughout the rest of the story. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.